At the beginning of the film, an elderly couple is shown suffering from an illness. The old man begins to recount a story from his past. At a night market, a young man is seen walking with his friend. His name is Alex. He notices a woman enjoying herself with her friends. From the way he looks at her, it's clear he is deeply drawn to her. The woman's name is Ellie. It turns out that the elderly couple from the opening scene is actually them. Ellie has lost her memory, and Alex is trying to help her remember their past. Alex approaches Ellie, introduces himself, and invites her to dance. However, Ellie ignores him and walks away. Intrigued by her, Alex remains persistent in asking her out. While Ellie is riding the Ferris wheel, Alex suddenly climbs up and threatens to jump unless she agrees to go on a date with him. Left with no choice, Ellie reluctantly says yes. Annoyed, she pulls down Alex's pants while he dangles in the air, causing the crowd to burst into laughter. The next day, they meet again and set a time for their date. That night, Alex's friend takes Ellie to the cinema, where they cross paths once more. After the movie, they separate from their friends and take a walk together. Ellie comes from a wealthy family, and her life is filled with strict routines of studying and learning. Meanwhile, Alex shares stories about his own life. One night, Alex invites Ellie to lie down on the road with him. At first, she refuses, but as they talk, a speeding car suddenly approaches, honking loudly. Startled, they quickly get up and run, then laugh about it afterward. From that moment on, they grow even closer. They spend their days together, swimming in the river, and Alex teaches Ellie how to drive. One day, they get into an argument, but it doesn't last long and only strengthens their bond. Eventually, Ellie invites Alex to dinner with her family. He answers all their questions honestly, but her family disapproves of their relationship because he does not come from a wealthy background. Ellie is not a local in that town, she only spends her summers there. From afar, her parents watch and remark that their love will not last beyond the summer. The next day, Alex and Ellie visit an abandoned house. Alex tells her that one day, he will buy it. Ellie imagines it painted white with blue shutters. Inside the house, Ellie plays the piano and they make love. Just as they are about to, their friend suddenly barges in, informing them that Ellie's parents have reported her missing to the police. Alex quickly takes Ellie back home. However, before leaving, her parents tell him that he is not the right person for Ellie. Hearing those words, Alex walks away in disappointment. Ellie chases after him, apologizing, but they end up arguing again. The next morning, Ellie sees all her belongings packed in the car. Furious at her mother, she has no choice but to return to the city. Although she still has a week left of her summer vacation, her mother arranges for an early departure, fearing that their relationship will deepen. Before leaving, Ellie goes to Alex's workplace to see him one last time, but he is out, and they miss their chance to say goodbye. Alex spends his days writing letters to Ellie, but none of them reach her. Her mother keeps them hidden, never letting Ellie know. At work, Alex hears about the war breaking out in Atlanta. He and his best friend enlist, but tragically, his friend does not survive. Meanwhile, Ellie volunteers to care for wounded soldiers. She looks after a man named Thomas, and once he recovers, he invites her on a date. They dance together and go horseback riding. One evening, Ellie attends a dance with Thomas, accompanied by her parents. Soon after, Thomas proposes and Ellie happily accepts. However, as she does, Alex's face suddenly flashes through her mind. By this time, Alex has returned from the war. His father has sold their house and bought the one Alex had always wanted. Excited, Alex travels to Ellie's city, only to find her kissing her fiancé. Heartbroken, he returns home. Determined to fulfill their old dream, Alex renovates the house just as Ellie had envisioned. But in the midst of his work, his father passes away, leaving him to complete the house alone. At one point, he considers selling the house but repeatedly refuses offers, making excuses even when someone bids higher than expected. Alex begins to spiral, drowning himself in alcohol almost every night. As Ellie's wedding day approaches, she tries on her gown. A family member hands her a newspaper featuring an article about her wedding, but beside it, she notices a photograph of Alex standing in front of the very house they once dreamed of living in together. Shocked, Ellie faints. When she regains consciousness, she takes a bath, deep in thought. Soon after, she devises a plan telling her family she is traveling to another city to paint. Upon arriving at Alex's house, they see each other once again. Alex is visibly stunned. Nervous, Ellie quickly asks how he's been before attempting to leave. However, in her distraction, she accidentally crashed her car into his fence. Seeing this, Alex invites her inside. They sit together, catching up on each other's lives. As Alex recounts his past to his wife, their children arrive at the hospital to visit. However, they are heartbroken when their mother fails to recognize them or her grandchildren. His children urge Alex to come home with them, but he refuses. To him, the hospital is his home as long as Ellie is there. After leaving Alex's house, Ellie receives a call from her fiancé, who tells her he is coming to find her. The next day, Ellie returns to Alex's house. He takes her to the river, where swans gather. Ellie is overjoyed by the sight. Before they can make it back home, heavy rain pours down, soaking them completely. Still, Ellie cherishes the moment, smiling through it. As they stand on the dock, Ellie asks Alex why he never wrote to her. Alex reveals that he had sent 365 letters, one for each day of the year, but never received a reply. They argue again but soon give in to the passion that was once stolen from them by Ellie's parents. After finally expressing their feelings, they fall asleep together. The next morning, Ellie gazes at Alex's face. She invites him to do it again, but exhausted and starving, Alex playfully asks for food instead. Suddenly, a knock is heard at the door. It's Martha, a widow with a child who has feelings for Alex. Already aware of Martha from Alex's stories, Ellie warmly invites her in for lunch. That evening, Martha bids them farewell, and as Ellie watches her leave through the window, she simply smiles. The next morning, Ellie wakes up, lying in bed without any clothes. She notices a bouquet of flowers beside her, but Alex is nowhere to be found. Following the clues Alex left behind, she discovers an entire painting set prepared for her. Delighted, she begins to paint. As she loses herself in her art, a sudden knock on the door startles her. When she opens it, she is shocked to see her mother standing there. Her mother, equally surprised to find Ellie undressed, informs her that Thomas is on his way. Her father has told him about Alex. Furious, Ellie confronts her mother for hiding all of Alex's letters, knowing how much heartbreak she endured 7 years ago. With a heavy heart, her mother apologizes and takes her to see something. She confesses that she too once loved a man whose life was similar to Alex's, but her own father had forbidden their love. In the end, she had no choice but to let him go. Ellie returns to Alex and tells him she must go back to her fiancé. Unable to accept this, Alex protests, leading to another heated argument. Ellie storms out, leaving Alex behind. Distraught, she nearly crashed her car due to her lack of focus. Stopping by the side of the road, she pulls out one of Alex's letters and begins to read. Overcome with emotion, she quietly breaks down. Meanwhile, Alex continues his efforts to restore his wife's memory by preparing a romantic dinner for them. Thomas is a kind and compassionate man who deeply loves Ellie. Understanding her emotions, he listens as she tells him everything about Alex. With a sincere heart, Thomas gives Ellie the freedom to choose. In the end, Ellie returns to Alex. Years of dedication finally pay off. Ellie regains her memories. She remembers who she is and, most importantly, recognizes the old man before her as Alex, her husband. They embrace and dance together, cherishing the moment. Ellie asks about their children and grandchildren, apologizing for not recognizing them. But suddenly, her memories slip away once more. She no longer knows who Alex is. Heartbroken, Alex watches helplessly as his wife forgets him again. The doctor administers a sedative to calm her down. Now frail and exhausted, Alex's health declines rapidly. Seeing Alex taken to the hospital, Ellie is overcome with sorrow, often lost in thought. Days later, Alex awakens from his coma and requests permission to see Ellie, but the doctor refuses. Determined, Alex sneaks into Ellie's room. The moment he speaks, she stirs awake and, miraculously, remembers him again. Fearing that one day Alex will leave her, Ellie clings to him desperately. With unwavering love, Alex promises he will never leave her side. They share a tender kiss before falling asleep together. The next morning, the doctor finds them lying peacefully in bed. As they approach, they realize Alex and Ellie have passed away, side by side.